Hello, how are you guys? My name is Professor Aftab Khan, and we start our lecture today regarding thesis seminar. Uh, we discussed so many things before regarding the 8 elements of our thesis, and in the continuation of those lectures, we discuss our chapter today, which is known as results, thesis results, and discussions. Okay, so our chapter name is thesis results, and discussion. Uh, yes, in the previous week we discussed the introduction of our thesis writing and how to write an introduction, how to write a comprehensive or an effective research introduction in a professional manner. After learning the introduction, we will gonna discuss the how to write a proper results and its discussions and vice versa. So, my dear students, there are 9 tips on how to write an effective results and its discussions. Okay, so writing the results and discussion section could be one of the difficult parts that you encounter when writing your first research manuscript. There is no simple, hard, and fast rule in doing it, but the following guide can help you start off with confidence. Okay, the results and discussion section is also referred to as the data presentation, analysis, and interpretation section. You present the results, show the analysis, and interpret the outcome of the analysis. As a takeoff point, it would help if we separate these two terms. For example, the results and discussions into simply the results and discussions as separate parts of the paper. In some universities and usually in scientific journals, however, these are taken as one. Okay, in some journals and in some countries, the results and discussion is the one heading. Okay, but in some parts of the world, the result is another heading and discussion as another heading. Okay, so it's up to you. Both are the same things. So, but in my point of view, you should give two headings. The first one is the result heading, and the second one is the discussion heading, which is more easier part, because it's better to be confused when you will mix up these two parts. So it is better, in my opinion, in my point of view, you should give two headings. The first heading will be the result heading, the second heading will be its discussion heading. Okay, so writing the result as the connotes, as a noting part, you should write only the result of your study. What comprises the results? Describe in detail in the following paragraphs. Okay, in the following discussion. The first one is the graphs, tables, and photographs, and charts, figures. In the observations that derive from the application of your methodology or method, these are the best presented using tables and graphs as objective representations of the measurements that you made. The others are more definite approximations of the reality compared to just words. Words are more subjective and replete with misunderstanding. So be consistent with your units of measurements. If you start off with kilograms, then these the same units all through your paper. Okay, so which means that the units which you are writing in your research paper, the units will be the same in all throughout the research paper, and vice versa. Never should you manipulate the outcomes of your measurements. Be honest in presenting information even if the result is unexpected. Whether the result is positive or negative, presented, this is an objective move. You may also add photographs whenever needed, but make sure these are the relevant, not just whimsical additions to your paper or a mean to flaunt your good photography skills. Although it would be advantageous to show such skill coupled with relevance. Pictures can speak 1,000 words. In general, give us as much as details as possible in your presentation of the results. Read and reread your statements for clarity. Engage a competent friend or a colleague, discerning eye for details. The second one is the topic sentence or subheadings. It is easy to follow your presentation if you break this into meaningful subtopics based on your sub-stated objectives. A one-to-be correspondence would be great. Say, the first subheading will about objectives 1, the second subheading about objective 2, and so on. So notice that in writing this article, it is easy read to have a subheading for every major thought. This makes for easy reading, thus understanding, and the writing becomes logical. The third part is the key results. Your key results should be stated clearly at the beginning of each paper. It should serve as the topic sentence. Support that the statement that more details, such as presenting the results of statistical analysis. For example, there is a significant positive relationship between the number of hours spent as students answering mathematics question and their examination score. This result is consistent across the grade levels in the 3 schools examined. Table 1 shows the correlation of efficiency at their corresponding significance level. Okay, so writing the discussion, after examining several these of previous years, I noticed that many undergraduate and even graduate students missed the parts. The results were presented as well as the analysis, but no discussion is in right. So what comprises the discussion here is what should be present in the discussion part. So trends and spatial differences. Trends refers to the changes over time, as your results showing an increase, decreasing, or just plain constant directions. This should be evident in the graph that you presented. Spatial differences refer to differences in spaces or locations within the same time frame. Is there a significant difference between the two groups examined? Is there a difference in the morphological measurements of one group of animals obtained from one location compared to another group? These are the questions that explore spatial differences. So inside interpretation of results. Inside interpretation means well thought explanations. That means you will have to ponder deeply the results of the study and to make a knowledgeable statement of your interpretation using the body of evidence at hand. This is where you cite evidences obtained by other authors. You either confirm or affirm other people's work or refute using your own findings. And then generalizations. Be on guard in writing your generalizations. Make sure that the data you analyze can be extrapolated or will allow you to predict somehow the behavior of one variable. If you have enough samples, then you may make a generalization. Now, how enough is enough? You may ask if your data has little variability as indicated by low variances, then it is possible that additional measurements will not change whatever trend you have. Always match your generalization with whatever results you have. Conversely, do not generalize when you have very few samples. Don't say 50% when you actually have only 2, 3 or even 4 samples described on your study. in your study, that plain absurd, exceptional to the rule. In scientific inquiry, not all the things or factors are discovered. There are always unknown or uncounted areas. This is the reason why everything is founded on profitability. No one 100% sure, so you should never say prove as a matter of contention. It proves means that 100% sure, which never happens. There are always expected deviance from the norm. And then the reason why things happen. Things happen due to something else. Reaction arises from action. These are called determining factors. As there are reasons why your results follow your trend, is it evident in your study? If there is, then say it and explain why so. Again, based on your observations and evidence, you may guess, but make it educated, meaning you have done more homework, and you have reviewed the literature and use it as a leverage for advancing your hypothesis or inferences. Remember that there is no such thing as a simple explanation of complex phenomena. Finding one that is most aligned in your findings. It would be interesting to be the controversial side, as long as you have done your study systematically and bias is reduced to a minimum. The sixth one is the contribution of your work. What are the important things that your study has contributed as far in view of what have been laid out in the body of the literature? Why is your work important, and what things need to be investigated further? From your set of questions, if many other questions arise, then your work has helped unravel other areas worthy of investigation. This is how much science work, the mysteries of the universe are uncovered, yet there are still many unknowns. No human has absolute understanding of everything, but if your work has potential to make life better, then it's a great accomplishment. And then there will be a referencing column. In the referencing column there are many references style, for example Chicago style, for example APA format, or many other styles. You can write it in your referencing sources. So these are the tricks which we're gonna discuss to how to write an effective result and a comprehensive result in a comprehensive manner. So writing the result and discussion section could be one of the difficult part, my dear students, that you encounter when writing your first research manuscript. There is no simple, hard and fast rule in doing, but the following guide can help you further start off with the confidence. The results and discussions section is also referred to as the data presented, analysis and interpretation section. You present the results, show the analysis, and interpret the outcome of the analysis. As takeoff point, it would help if we separate these two terms, that is results and discussions, into simply the results and the discussions as a separate part of the paper. In some universities and usually in scientific journals, however, these are taken as one part. So writing the results, as the term connotates, you should write only the result of your study, what comprises the results. It describes it in details in the following paragraphs, graphs, charts, tables, and figures. These are the most important part, my dear students, to give the figures with proper illustration. If you are using charts, tables, you must give them and illustrate them and further illustrate them. The calculation which are inside the table, you have to illustrate it in a proper and a professional manner. So this is a very important thing if you are analyzing, my dear students, your result and discussion part with the help of the graphs, tables, charts, figures, and further illustrate them in a proper manner. This is a very important thing in my point of view if you are writing this in your results and discussion column. Never should you manipulate the outcome of your measurements. If you manipulate the outcome of your measurements, then there will be a big problem in your research of results, findings, and discussions. You may also add photographs whenever needed, but make sure these are the relevant things, not just an addition to your paper or a mean to flaunt your good photography skills, although it would be advantageous to show such a skill coupled with relevance. Pictures can speak 1,000 words. Give as much detail as possible in your presentation of the results. Read and reread your statements of clarity. Engage a competent friend or a colleague's discerning eye for details. Topic sentences or subheadings. It is easy to follow your presentation if you break into the meaning subtopics based on your stated objectives. A one to the correspondence would be a great, say, the first subheading will be about objectives. The second subheading is about objectives 2 and so on. Notice that in writing this article, it is an easy read to have a subheading for every major thoughts. This makes for easy reading, thus understanding, and the writing becomes logical. Okay. The key results has some principles. Your key results should be stated clearly as at the beginning of each paragraph. It should serve as a topic sentence. It should support the statement with more details, such as presenting results of a statistical analysis. For example, there is a significant positive relationship between the number of hours spent by students in answering mathematics questions and their examination score. This result is consistent across all grade levels in the 3 schools examined. It shows the correlation of coefficients and their corresponding significance level. So writing the thesis after examining several theses of previous years, I noticed that many undergraduate and even graduate students missed this part. The results were presented as well as the analysis, but no discussion is in sight. So what comprises the discussion is trends and spatial differences. What is the trends and what are the spatial differences? We will gonna discuss this. The trends are refer to the changes over time, my dear students. As your results showing an increasing or decreasing or just plain constant direction, this should be evident in the paragraph that you presented. Spatial differences refer to differences in space or location within the same time frame. Is there a significant differences between the two groups examined? Is there differences in the morphological measurements of one group of animals obtained from one location compared to another group. These are the questions that explore spatial differences. Insightful interpretation of results. Insightful interpretation means well thought explanations. That means you will have to ponder deeply the results of your study and make a knowledgeable statement of your interpretation using the body of evidence at hand. This is where you cite evidences obtained by other authors. You either confirm or affirm other people's work or refute using your own findings. Generalization. Be on guard in writing your generalizations. Make sure that the data you analyze can be extrapolated or will allow to predict somehow and be the behavior of one variable to another variable, the behavior of the dependent variable and the behavior of the independent variable, and vice versa. So this generalization must be covered in your results. The variable dependency and the variable increment or decrement, the variable increase or decrease must be there in your research, and vice versa. So this is a very important part in my opinion, in my understanding, or in my point of view. Okay, so exceptions of the rule. There are some exceptions of the rule. Okay, we can say this, that the reasons why these things happen to some things as reaction arises from actions. Reactions arises from actions. This is another part. Okay, so these are called determining factors, as they are reasons why your results flow a trend. This is evidence of your study. If there is, then they say that explains why. So again, based on your observation and evidences, you may guess, but make it educated, meaning does your finding support, okay, and the phenomena. It would be interesting to be the controversial side, as long as you have done your studies systematically and biased, reduced to a minimum. The contribution of your work. What are the important things that your study has contributed so far, in view of what have been laid out in the body of literature, and why is your work important, and what things need to be investigated further. This is a very important thing in my opinion and in my point of view. So my dear student, that no human being in this world has absolutely understanding of everything. Okay, no system in the world which is 100% right, and no system in the world which is 100% wrong. But yes, we have to identify the weaknesses of that system. So I think that identification of the weaknesses is the main issue, and definitely we have to focus on this. So these are the things, these are the results and the discussion column, and this is the ending line of our research thesis. Please make sure that you must make an effective result and an effective discussions, which based on the analysis, logical analysis, a logical interpretation, and vice versa. So my dear students, actually you have to do it accordingly, and you have to do it in a perfect manner. And my dear students, again I'm repeating, I am repeating a message to every lecture, that this is because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. The whole semester will be online. There will be this is an online semester, and there will be no final exam. And this is a thesis course, and you must submit me your thesis work. You have to give it to me the next week. I think you must submit it to me in my email address or in this YSU website server. As soon as you will give it to me, as soon I will evaluate it and I will give you the gradings and vice versa. Okay, so please, I'm repeating my request for my students that please give it to me on time and submit it to me your thesis work as soon as possible. So if you have any questions in your comments or any comments, so you can comment me in the comment section of the YSU cyber website and vice versa. Okay, so thank you very much. Till then, goodbye, and to be continued towards. We will meet again in the next week. Thank you very much.